English teacher suspended for showing Muhammad cartoon can return to work. And I mean English is in nationality, not as in school subject. In West Yorkshire of the United Kingdom, a school teacher of Batley Grammar School in West Yorkshire, UK, was suspended in March for showing students a drawing taken from the French satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo during a religious studies class. His action provoked parents who protested outside the school gates. The teacher has been cleared of causing deliberate offense and told that he could have his job back. The Batley Multi-Academy Trust said that these included establishing a structured approach to quality assurance of individual teacher planning and more rigorous monitoring of teaching aids. The investigation concluded that the teacher, quote, genuinely believed that using the image had an educational purpose and benefit, end quote, to discuss the meaning of blasphemy. Gavin Williamson, the education secretary, stated that it is never acceptable to threaten teachers in dialogues between parents and schools when issues emerge are encouraged. Oops.
All right. I agree with this comment. See, it's not just me who is like sees the negative side of this. See, it's not just me. Like I'm looking at this, people like, yay, this is great news. This is originally bad news. We had somebody who was removed from the position because of showing a Charlie Hebdo in United Kingdom. Like, how did this happen to begin with? Somebody explain. How did this happen? Like, are we supposed to celebrate the fixing of such a horrible decision? Like, what about the original horrible decision that was made to begin with? What do you think?
Well, so we covered this. We covered this story back in March, and it was very similar in some ways to the incident that led to the beheading of French teacher Samuel Paty, in which this is a teacher and he wanted to have a discussion. And as a means of prompting that discussion, he showed cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad. And this inspired huge backlash from the community. But interestingly enough, there were many reports that a lot of the people protesting the school and protesting directly outside the school were not actually parents of the children at this school. When word got out that this image had been shown, you know, it caused backlash within not even necessarily people from the Muslim community who actually attended that school. And as a result, there was a very, I would say, reactive and reflexive reaction to this demand of you have caused us offense, you know, and they suspended this teacher. And in response, there was a large movement online from students who actually did attend the school to get the teacher reinstated. And the school faced heavy, heavy criticism for this action. Luckily, I know that the teacher, it was reported that he was very scared about his safety. Given the events of a few months prior with the beheading of Samuel Paty, I can completely appreciate his fear. And I thought it was interesting the way that they used it. The investigation concluded that the teacher genuinely believed that using the image had an educational purpose and benefit. Like, that language was very interesting to me. Like, yeah, sorry, Rivka, go ahead. Okay, you're muted. You muted yourself.
You're muted again.
Okay.
It's okay. Go ahead. Just go ahead. Yeah.
So, based on what you were saying about that language, I think that it sounds almost, you know, apologetic in a way. And then the other thing that has to be noted, and I'm glad that this gentleman got his job back and the whole brouhaha got tamped down, but the investigation that was launched by the school's trustees, they said that they recommended some things and the school said, oh, we're going to put them in to enact them immediately. And one of those was structure post quality assurance. So it's kind of knowing what's going on in the classroom. But the other one that is somewhat concerning, more rigorous monitoring of teacher aides. So that sounds to me like they're going to be paying attention more to what the teacher is saying and what the, for example, the teaching aid of showing this picture or showing a film. And so the teachers are going to be subject to a lot of, over the shoulderness. And then the final thing is, it pledged never to use images of the prophet in any further future lessons.
Wow.
Okay.
Yep.
So despite this instructor getting his job back, which is good. I'm glad he got his job back. You don't want to deprive someone of their livelihood. I'm glad he was safe. I'm glad the Fuhrer tamped down. They did capitulate because I don't know. I could be wrong because I haven't seen the, standards and practices of this school for everything. But I'm wondering, does it say they would never use a picture of Jesus? Does it say they would never show a picture of Buddha? Does it show they never show a picture of the flying spaghetti monster? I don't know. But if I were a betting person, I would bet the answer is no. So despite the good part about him getting his job back and everything, and he was safe, and that they acknowledge, yes, it has an educational benefit, but less than acknowledging the educational benefit, what they were doing is sort of kowtowing and saying, well, he didn't mean it. He actually thought it was okay. But in the future, we'll never show a picture of the prophet again, regardless of whether it has an educational benefit or not. So that right there is sort of trying to have it both ways, but more so submitting to the demands of the people who are saying you're not allowed to do something because of our set of beliefs and that our offense is paramount.
Look at these people. The picture shows protesters outside Batley Grammar School in West Yorkshire in March. Look at this. I would be scared if I was this teacher. Look at this. If this was, look at these men, all of them.
They look like they're going to a gang rumble or something.
Oh my God. I would not feel safe in United Kingdom as an anti-Islam atheist activist. Like, this is like insane. UK, like, seriously, it's so scary. Like, imagine you're teaching people about, like, I don't know, freedom of speech and blasphemy, and obviously you're going to show the picture. Obviously you have to display the picture that you're talking about, as if you're talking about the subject. You're not going to enforce blasphemy laws in your schoolroom, like,
which they kind of are. And
yeah, but
and it was the religious class.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, and it's a religious class. Why wouldn't you show that? You have to show that. It's the subject of the goddamn class. But then you have to worry about this. Like, these are the mob enforcing blasphemy laws in the UK in universities. We're supposed to be the higher education system, center of higher education is supposed to be the place where ideas get expressed.
It's not a university, but it is a school where ideas get expressed.
Yeah, okay. The centers of education, that's why I changed it, right? That's why I said centers of higher education are a place where you expose students to certain ideas, right? And United Kingdom is now a place where these places get to be intimidated by people who want to enforce the rules that they have in their dogma that is not written in the country's laws, but somehow, because of intimidation tactics, they manage to get their laws enforced on people that don't share their dogma, don't follow their rules. They're enforcing Islamic rules on people who don't follow Islam, and they are getting away with it.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, and even if the school, like, backs down at this, even if the school completely backed down the thing is that as a teacher in United Kingdom, you still have to worry about people like this showing up at the school, right?
Or busting into your front door like what happened to Mufti Abu Layth.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like you're
breaking and busting your windows and coming to scream and terrify your wife and children.
Yeah, in the United Kingdom, you're not safe to express your ideas. That is not harming anybody. You just your opinions about a religion, or you express it, like not even yourself blaspheming, just the blasphemy of others being the subject of your discussion. Like you're not even blaspheming. You're just discussing other people's blasphemy as a subject of the discussion of this religious class. And you can't even do that. Even if the school backs down, even if the government backs down, they're not protecting you against a mob like this.
And Armin, to your point about discussing blasphemy, that was exactly the reason the teacher showed the picture, to give them a definition so that they could see it and understand it, that this could be considered blasphemy in certain religions. That is why he showed the picture, because he was discussing the concept of blasphemy and how it's viewed by religions, because it's a comparative religion class.
I still think that teachers in France or United Kingdom need to show solidarity at some point, right? And just there needs to be a campaign by teachers all across the UK where at one day they all at the same time say, like, not on our watch, teachers protecting teachers. We're all, whether it's the subject of the class or not, thousands of teachers at the same time. First, they come to the class and they say that what they're explain to the class that they're about to show a picture of Muhammad, and anybody who gets hurt by that and doesn't wish to see that is free to leave. Okay, and they give like a 10-second or 20-second heads up to the entire class, and then they expose the entire class to a blasphemous picture of Muhammad to spread the risk, to defend all other teachers from blasphemy laws, and to protect the rights of teachers to be able to teach to their students what they think is necessary for them to see. I think this needs to be done in UK. There needs to be a day dedicated to teachers protecting teachers. And yeah, just say not on our watch, something like that. Something like this needs to happen. Suze.
Yeah, I think it's so shameful that I feel like it was basically like a condition, or what's the word I'm looking for? It almost seems like it was like a concession that the school was making to get the suspended teacher back. It's like, okay, we'll bring back this super offensive teacher, but our concession is going to be that we're never going to show this again, which is reprehensible. Okay, and there were some pertinent comments in the live chat. The Rabid Atheist is saying it is the same enforcement of blasphemy laws in the name of diversity and tolerance. It's crap. And AGA is saying, shoot, where did it go? She was saying, oh yes, and the cops do nothing because they're worried about optics. Everything about this going down in the UK is about optics, not about principle. Not about what's actually useful for furthering discussion, understanding, or education. And it is cowardly. Like, I don't know what's happening to the UK, but over and over again, you see this worry about optics over actually what's right throughout the police and throughout institutions. We see this as far as the police not wanting to admit and protecting people who do horrible things to children because they're too afraid of being called racist. Okay? So they leave children defenseless over the sake of their own optics.
Right.
It's actually shameful.
This is actually a very important point, because not all form of censorship is a violation of free speech, okay? But when the cops hold back when it comes to protecting you against the mob, now this becomes a free speech issue, right? So for example, like let's say Atheist Republic posts some blasphemy on Twitter, like my personal account, and my personal account has become suspended because of blasphemy on Twitter, right? Because of mass reporting, okay? This is a form of censorship which we're against, but my freedom of speech has not been violated, even though even though I'm still against it, saying that my freedom of speech is not violated doesn't mean that I am a-okay with it, right? But again, because there was no government crackdown and penalties on what I said, it's not a free speech violation. But freedom of speech violation could be in the form of the government penalizing you for the things you're saying, or it could also be in another way. It could also be, the government involvement could be them not protecting you in the same way they protect other people, right? So if there is unequal protection against threat by the governments, that could also be a form of violation of your freedom of expression, right? So because of optics, or because again, now we have the government involved, this will become, if it is true that if a mob is coming after you for some reason, for like, I don't know, for you, let's say for being, I don't know, you're being abused because you're gay, and the police is coming there to protect you against the mob, but now you're being abused because, I don't know, you said something against Islam, and the police, because of optics, is not coming there to protect you in the same way. This is a violation of your freedom of speech because you're not getting the same level of protection. Okay, so I know, like Kenji was saying here, the free speech is not the same as censorship, but yeah, but in this case, it is. If it's true that the police, if the optic is an issue for the police, then this is a violation of free speech. Rivka, you want to say something?
So yeah, and I think that to your point and to Susanna's point about the optic issue, or the refusing to protect people, or the capitulation with "we will never show this picture again," so those are blasphemy laws. They're just not the blasphemy laws that they might have in a country like Pakistan, where you could be thrown in jail, tortured, or even killed. These are blasphemy laws that are enforced through the fear of people being called names. They are shaming people into capitulation with these blasphemy laws because people are afraid of being called something. So people are more afraid of being called a bigot or a racist than they are of being a bigot or a racist.
That's so true. And this is, people don't, actually, this will parlay very well into our next news about why blasphemy is important.
All right. I do want to...
Perfect segue.
Yeah, perfect segue, but I do want to use this, read this comment. It's a good comment. Susie, you want to read this while I get
Secular Rarity is saying, I do love this art, but the discussion on this article is really why I watch Atheist Republic. Aw, thank you. Incredible takes from all three of you. We're like a pretty good team. We're just coming at them.
I like how Secular Rarity cheers us up with, like, this is really... I don't know. Thank you so much, Secular Rarity. It's like motivating fuel.
Yeah, and if I do say so myself, I think the three of us are kind of killing it tonight.
Hey guys, if you're a fan of blasphemy and sexy Callie, you know, like me, then you need to be sure to subscribe to our newsletter. Link in the description below. Because if you subscribe, we will send you a free copy of our Blasphemous Art ebook. And let me tell you, it is the tastiest blasphemy that you can find anywhere available today. And we are so generous with our blasphemy that we continue to send you more blasphemy every week. So make sure to subscribe. Link in the description below.